All praises to the Most High, the Elohim of our fathers, creator of heaven and earth and of all things. Only him we praise and only him we glorify. Shalom, brothers and sisters who are scattered in all corners of the earth. Sanbonan. My name is Mpumelelo. Welcome to this channel. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the subscribers of this channel. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. I'm very grateful. Thank you for all your contributions. Please like and share this video. And if you are new to this channel, please consider to subscribe, like and share this video. So today we are going to talk about the relationship between the Torah and the Bantu, or the relationship between the Bantu and the Torah. So what is the relationship? We're going to look at whether or not we can find the Torah, the practices of the Torah among the Bantu. If they can be found among the Bantu, it means they cannot be found among other people. This is a unique experience, which is distinct, which is only found among a certain group of people, whether they are in the continent or in the diaspora. We will unpack more clearly in part 2 of this video. Today we are going to touch on some things that people may consider to be general. But I'm telling you, even if they are general, they are not found among all peoples. So before we can go further, what is the Torah? The Torah is often mistaken to be the first 5 books of Moses, or the law of Moses. We've become accustomed to saying that because just like, we were made to believe the New Testament, we were accustomed to believe that these were the 5 books of Moses and they are the Torah. We never knew that there were other books that were not considered, that were not included, that were considered non-canonical, and they were left outside of the so-called canonical books. And believe me, none of our people made any input. None of our people contributed to those decisions. So today when we read, we find other books. The book of Jubilees, the book of Enoch, the book of Yasher or Yashar, and many others that were discarded. But all these books, they constitute the Torah. Because what is the Torah? The Torah is the law. The Torah is instructions. The Torah is the guidance of a certain people by their Creator. Just like we guide our children, the one who created us, the Most High, gave us laws that would help us to navigate through life. But guess what? Just like our children rebel against us, we rebelled against those laws. And we found ourselves where we are today. So, the Most High gave us these laws at Mount Sinai, and we are the only nation that had that experience. through our forefathers. We had the experience of having a direct encounter with the one who created us, our Elohim. And there at Mount Sinai, a covenant was made between us and him. A covenant which includes those whom he chose and him. And in that covenant, he says, I'm giving you these laws of life. Live by them and you will be blessed. And we chose to disobey him. And curses followed us up to today. Because we didn't keep the end of our bargain. Now, do people still follow the Torah? Not to the letter, and not even consciously. Can you imagine? Not even consciously. Now, I have experienced this. When your parents raise you, they teach you a lot of things. They bombard you with every day there's a rule, there's a new rule every day. You may not remember all of them at the time of their teaching, but when you're older, these things come back. You remember them somehow. So in spite of our disobedience over thousands of years, we still remember certain things and we do them almost automatically. These things were passed from one generation to the next, even though some of our parents will say they don't know where these things come from, but they must be done, or they must be done that way. If you ask them, where do these practices come from? Why must we do this? They don't know. But as the Most High is opening our eyes, we are beginning to make these connections. We have not always been conscious of what we are doing, but we are finding out that these have connections, deep connections to the Torah. Our behavior did not just fall from the sky, but it came directly from the mouth of the Most High. Now, there are many reasons why we are no longer following the Torah to the letter. One of them, I've spoken about it, is disobedience. There has been countless captivities in our lives, in the existence of our history. Captivity of the northern tribe, captivity of Judah. People were taken into slavery. We were oppressed by colonizers. And so there's been a lot of interruptions because of that disobedience. And today, laws have been imposed on us. Other laws, not righteous laws which were given to us by the Most High, but the laws of our captives, laws of our oppressors are governing us. Even though we have people who look like us who are governing us, but they still use the systems of oppression. They have not transformed them. They still use the parliamentarian system, the system of governance. They still use the Roman Dutch law and English law. Nothing has changed. They still use the titles that were used by our oppressors. So we're still oppressed. The Torah is not supreme the Torah has taken a secondary or tertiary status. And in many instances, it has been shelved. It is not known. Now, secondly, we don't have priests anymore. Priests had a duty to teach people. It is written. Their duty is to do nothing but to teach. But now we don't have priests. We don't know who is from the tribe of Levi and who is not. What we have is a whole range of people who call themselves priests. And they are fighting amongst each other. They are fighting among which doctrine is right. They are competing about, who pulls the biggest crowds. They have lost the sense of responsibility. Maybe we can't blame some of them. Maybe they are not even part of us. And therefore they are doing whatever they are doing. In any case, if they are not part of us, they will never have the understanding that they should be having. They can pull crowds. They can be eloquent in speaking. But if they are not one of us, they are going to mislead a lot of people. So, in the absence of priests, in the absence of judges, there'll be lawlessness, obviously. And there's lawlessness today. Even though we have practices similar or that are the Torah, there's lawlessness. Even though we have laws of the land, there's lawlessness. Now, I want to go through a few verses that indicates to us the importance of having priests among us, because priests were given the custody of teaching. It is their responsibility to teach. Deuteronomy 33 verse 10. Here we find Moses giving blessings. He's about to die. He's giving blessings to all the tribes, all the 12 tribes. And he says to the tribe of Levi, they shall teach Jacob is Jacob, your judgments, the judgments of the Most High, and Yashurun, your law. So they will teach us judgments and they will teach us the law. This is their responsibility. And without them, we are lost. We are lawless. Leviticus 10, verses 8 to 11. Then Yah spoke to Aaron, saying, verse 9, do not drink wine or intoxicating drink. You know your sons with you when you go into the tabernacle of meeting, lest you die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, verse 10, that you may distinguish between holy and unholy, between unclean and clean. 11, and that you may teach the children of Jacob all the statutes which Yah has spoken to them by the hand of Moses. So, the preachers must be sober-minded so that they can execute this responsibility soberly, distinguishing between what is accepted and what is not accepted, what is holy and what is unholy, what is clean and what is unclean. But if they're not sober, They will not be able. I think it goes deeper than just having intoxicated drinks. If you're not anointed and you don't use your anointing right, you're likely to mislead a lot of people. If you can read Leviticus 10 from verse 1, this is a beautiful story. The Most High rebuking the sons of Aaron and actually taking them. They die in the tabernacle because of something that they did which was prohibited. So they were not sober and they did something that was prohibited. So please go through that story. 2 Chronicles chapter 15 verse 3. For a long time, Yashurun or Jacob has been without the true Elohim. This was the time when the children of Jacob were in captivity in Babylon, or after that period, without teaching priest and without law. So they forgot. And this is where we find ourselves today. We've forgotten. And anyone comes to us and tell us about their God, we follow them. Christians came and told us, the same people who came to oppress us, the same people who came to steal from us, the same people who are today richer than us, they brought with them a strange religion called Christianity. And we believe it even today. We are teaching it. And so there's lawlessness because we believe in strange gods. Malachi chapter 2 verse 7 to 8. For the lips of a priest should keep knowledge, and people should seek the law from his mouth. People should have the desire to listen to a priest. They should seek his knowledge. They seek the law from his mouth. For he is the messenger of Yah Sabaoth. Yah Sabaoth means the Yah of hosts. Now, instead of doing that, verse 8, you have departed from the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yah Sabaoth. So priests became corrupt, departed from the law, and misled all the people. The role of a priest in our midst is important, but we should be careful who we listen to, because there are many who were misled, and they still are misled. They teach fiction as if it is the truth. Nehemiah 8 verse 7 to 8. Also, Yeshua, and this is after the Babylonian exile. Also, Yeshua, not Jesus, please. Bani, Sherebiahu, Yamin, Akub, Shebatai, Hodiah, Maaseya, Kelita, Azariahu, Yozabad, Hanan, Pelayahu, and the Levites help the people to understand the law, and the people stood in their places. So they read distinctly from the book in the law of Elohim, and they gave the sense and helped them to understand the reading. without the priests, there'll be lawlessness. Now, when we ask our elders, where do you get these practices? They say, this was passed on from our fathers to us, and we are passing it to you. But from their fathers, where did it come from? Their fathers would have probably said, it came from our fathers. But where does that practice originate from? Look at Deuteronomy 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old. This is talking to us today. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you. Your elders, and they will tell you. What will they tell you? They will tell you about, they may not remember. Most of them, if you ask them, they will say, this has been passed on from us by our fathers, and this is where it comes from. The Most High gave a command that teach this to your children. They may not remember where it comes from, but they will know that their fathers knew. When they asked them, their fathers knew, or their mothers knew. And so this is how the Torah has been passed from one generation to the next. Many of our people throughout the continent, they know. They will tell you. They will say to you, we come from the north. If you ask them, where did you come from? How did you, excuse me, how did you end up here? Because clearly you didn't just fall from the sky. You came from somewhere. And all of them, without contradiction, as many as we are, almost all of them, they say, we come from the north. We come from the north. What are they talking about? Even in Kenya, if you are in Kenya, they will say, we come from Misri. Who is Misri? Where is Misri? Mizraim, Egypt. They are all unanimous. They all say that we come from the north. So somewhere embedded in their minds, it was passed on to them that there were slaves in Egypt. And they came up south and dwelt in the land of Canaan. They came up south. They didn't came down south. They came up south. So from where I am, the north is down, not up. So our people remember, vaguely, but they remember that they came down south. But most of them, they will say they came up south, up north. Which is, I think it's the confusion of the mind, because a lot of people, that's why South Africa is called Mzansi, because it is mistakenly believed that the south is in the downward elevation, whereas the south has the highest elevation. North is down. Anyways, we're not there. Now, that which was passed from one generation to the other has lost its meaning. So people no longer relate to this knowledge that was passed to them from one generation to the next. They no longer relate it to the Torah, but they know that some knowledge was passed to them. It is partially adhered to, and it has become embedded in our cultural practices. The way it was supposed to be, it wasn't supposed to be a religion. As distorted as it may, and there are extreme forms of distortion in our practices. But these practices have a name today. These cultural practices, these traditions have a name. Some people go to an extent of saying it's a philosophy. It is called Ubuntu. Ubuntu. We are Bantu and people say we practice Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a way of living. It is humaneness. It is humanity. Although this is a Nguni word, but this word is universal among the Bantu. In their dialects, pardon me, in their dialects, they will tell you what Ubuntu is. Ubuntu is summarized in Zulu as Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. Something is irritating my throat. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, which is badly translated as I am because we are. I am because we are. It highlights the importance of community, shared values, shared, principles. It highlights the importance of interconnectedness than individualism or individuality. Modernity has come with the promotion of individuality. Capitalism must survive that way. Individuals are more important than the community. Capitalism will not allow a situation where Ubuntu thrives. Because if Ubuntu thrives, capitalism will die. And capitalism would have died a long time ago. Whiteness would have been destroyed a long time ago if we kept practicing what we were taught by our forefathers. Unity, interconnectedness, the importance of community working together. Now let's try to find these principles of Ubuntu within the Torah. Although they are not purely practiced today, but we can find these practices. Interestingly, some of these practices were not necessarily taught, but I think that a spirit is invoked within people and they react. For instance, if I can start with some things that are extreme. During the struggle against apartheid, you would find people who were labeled as traitors. And those people would be captured and they will be stoned to death. They will be killed. They will be stoned to death. Some will be burnt to death. This was a form of justice. Call it mob justice, but where does it come from? How do they know about stoning people to death? These were young people who were not reading the Bible. So where does that come from? That if there's a traitor among you, they must be removed from among you because they will cause others, they will normalize their behavior, so they need to be removed permanently. How do they know all these things? The other example is an example of a witch or someone who is regarded as a witch. They will burn the house of that person and they will burn that person alive. So everything about that person needs to be burned and that person. There are problems with this. Oh, before I go any further about this, let me read where this comes from. Let me read where this comes from, where you find that, and it's still happening today in some of the provinces here in South Africa. Now, the problem with it, of course, is that if you are caught doing that, the police will arrest you, and they are not interested in how you came about killing a person because you believe they are a witch. You have committed a crime, and they will take you to jail. You'll serve a life sentence. You'll serve a sentence. But where does this come from? And notwithstanding the fact that there are problems with it, with that practice today, among others, there's no priest and there's no judge. So who takes a decision that this person is a traitor and they must be stoned to death? Who takes a decision that this person is a witch and they must be killed, removed from society, ban everything that they have? What if the decision is wrong? So a wrong person has been killed. So sin, multiplies. Because you commit sin upon sin, there's no justice. So there needs to be justice in order that there should be order. Look at Leviticus 20, verses 6 to 7 and verse 27. If a person turns to mediums and wizards, playing the harlot after them, I will set my face against that person and will cut him off from among his people. Now, what are we talking about here? We have people, even here in South Africa, and there's a lot of them in the continent, who goes and consult with mediums. Mediums are people who are intermediaries between the living and the dead. So they call upon the spirits of the dead to give them counsel on the problems that you may have. And this is the thing that the Most High says it's unacceptable. And in verse 27, a man or a woman who is a medium or a wizard shall be put to death, shall be stoned with stones, their blood shall be upon them. So if you have stoned someone because they consult or they are medium, the blood of that person is upon that person because they have done something that is wicked among our people. I'm telling you, this behavior is normalized now, today. Every other celebrity in South Africa is a medium. Every other celebrity, some of them are quitting. They quit and say, I'm no longer a medium. I'm now a Christian. So they move from bad to worse. They say, I'm no longer this. I've changed. I've converted to Christianity. Some are even preaching in churches. This tells you this spirit is still upon them, even though they think in their minds they've changed. And there are other behaviors, practices among us that have been exploited by our colonizers and our slave masters. And what are those? Forgiveness and reconciliation among us. We have that heart of forgiveness because we were taught over the years. If you look at other verses, in Exodus 22, verse 20, and Deuteronomy 10, verse 19, we were commanded to care for strangers because we were once slaves. Where? In the north, in Misri, in Egypt. So we were taught to care for strangers among us. But the strangers that came here, they knew who these people were. And they already decided how they can manipulate that to their advantage. They came with wicked intentions, and they rob us of everything that we had. Imagine, less than 4 million people oppressing 60 million people. How does that make sense? Okay, the Most High, or we, not the Most High, our sin, our disobedience has caused all of this. We were warned, our forefathers were warned, that these things will happen to us. But what was not removed from us, it is this caring. It is this forgiveness. It is this reconciliation. Look at what has happened here. Throughout the continent, those who oppressed us, we tried to reach out to them and reconcile when there was no reason to. This happened to Joshua, by the way. Joshua, when he came to the land, I forget now this nation, that came to Joshua and pretended as if they come from a land far away. And they said, we will be your slaves, just don't kill us. It turned out they came from the other street. But because of this forgiveness, because of this heart, reconciliatory heart, he accepted them. And then he found out that they don't come from very far. They come from the other street, just not far from the other, the other block. They pretended to be coming from far, pretended to be hungry. And Joshua took care of them. They became slaves, but they were taken good care of. Not how we were treated when we did not even deserve to be slaves. Okay, I shouldn't be saying that, because really, because of our disobedience, we found ourselves in all sorts of trouble. But our enemies are taking advantage of who we are. No one, by the way, said that justice is blind, that we should love our enemies even if they are wicked. No one said that. There was no reason why, when our leaders came out of jail, out of exile, when we have lost so many people, young people who died, there was no reason for our leaders to be reconciliatory. Justice did not prevail. And look at what is happening today. Look at the lies that these people are saying, are telling. They are claiming that there's genocide in South Africa. They are lying. And those who went and met Trump, they didn't go with the 49 that went there. They are still here because they have a lot to lose. What they were hoping for was that Trump will put his iron fist on us, did what he had promised to do. He did some of it, disinvestments here, withdrawing some of the fundings for whatever projects. But they were hoping for worse. They were hoping for regime change. It didn't happen the way they wished, and so they didn't leave. They are still here. They are facing charges of treason because they lied and they put the country into disrepute. But look, justice must be served to those who oppressed us. Otherwise, you will have people who continue to be cocky because of the laws that were put by their forefathers before us. And we continue with those laws. The laws, the so-called laws that are called the freedom of speech. the freedom of expression. People say things that are treasonous under the protection of human rights. So you can see that all these laws are unmatchable to the Torah. Only the Torah is righteous. These laws are not good, and these systems of governance are not good for us. And so a change is needed. A change is needed. This is what the Most High is saying to us, and this is the final thing I want to say. 2 Chronicles verse 7. I'm in chapter 7, verse 14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves. You know what the Ashkenazi Jews there in the Middle East did? When they created that so-called Jewish state of Israel in 1948, they began to change their names. So that when we read verses like these ones, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, we think they have replaced us, or they have attempted until now to replace us. Now we know they are lying. Now we know we are the people. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, not the face of Jesus, you'll take us 100 years backwards. Seek my face. Do you understand? I mean, English is my fourth language, or fifth, or sixth. But you understand what this says? If my people who are called by my name, if they pray and seek my face, not three faces, not the face of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, my face, and turn from their wicked ways. Among those wicked ways is falsely believing that there was a Messiah who came and died and went to heaven. Your wicked beliefs are that when you die, you'll go to heaven. When you are resurrected, you'll go to heaven. There's no such thing. You're not going to heaven. No one is going there. Then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sins and heal their land. And he's talking about those that he chose. The church has tried to replace us, and some of us are playing harlotry with wickedness. They are calling Jesus the Son of the Most High. Jesus who never existed. They are calling Jesus their Messiah. I have no qualms with them. That is your God. That is your God, and good luck if there's anything like that. But this is the simple thing that the Most High is saying to us. If we can just humble ourselves and pray and seek his face and turn from our wicked ways. We need to understand what this means. What is wicked ways? Then I will hear from heaven, and I will forgive their sin and heal their land. We will be restored if we turn against all these wicked things. The absence of righteousness among us, the absence of righteous teachings has resulted in all these spontaneous things that we do, killing people because we think they are wicked. Maybe they are, but what if they are not? I know for a fact there are many people who died during the struggle who were accused of being traitors, and they were not. There was never an investigation. There was never a sitting. And some of these lies will be spread by our enemy. who will spread lies about some of us and say and accuse them of being spies, of being traitors. And people will take action and kill people, innocent blood. So there's wickedness because there's no righteousness. So we react the way the Torah says we should react when there's wickedness. But this Torah is righteous. It can only be applied by people who are righteous. So we need to be cleansed first. We need to be pure first before we can pass judgment on others. We're not good enough to throw stones at anyone. Not good enough, because we have issues ourselves that we're harboring deep in our hearts sometimes, or that are done by other people among us. We know it, we don't speak out. So we're not good enough until we speak out, until we ourselves are pure. We cannot be going about stoning people to death, burning people alive. We can't do that. When there are no due processes and the Most High has given us the most righteous way of dealing with things, there's adjudication, there's a priest, and then there's enforcement. Those due processes are not known anymore. We are just invoked by Spirit. We just remember that this is how we deal with things. But among us, there's wickedness too. So we don't qualify. This is where I will end today. We will break down the laws. Some, we apply them in a wicked way, in many ways that are not accepted. And some, we do it the right way, but we've deviated. But we will point out that among the Bantu, these things are practiced. They are there. They make up the whole sum of what today is called the Bantu. You are the people of the book. You are the chosen. Never mind what we are called today. By the way, we were never called the state of Israel, or, whatever names that they are today. And over a period of time, we speak in different dialects, but these dialects only show, and our practices only show, that we were once a nation. And the scattering and the dispersal has caused us to adapt to different languages that are spoken and different cultural practices. That's why you find deviation here and there. This is where we'll end today. Thank you very much for your attention. Asante sana. All praises to the Most High. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.